The photograph was taken in 1967, but the children in it died in 1957. You might think death is final, a door that closes once and never opens. But what if everything you've been told about endings is wrong? Tonight, we trace the impossible mathematics of return, a story where two small girls in Hexham, England, prove that some love transcends the grave itself. We'll follow the evidence through 6 moments of revelation, from tragedy to miracle to the darker truth beneath. By the end, you'll understand why scientists still whisper about the case that changed everything. I am the archivist of these forbidden records, these files that make grown men weep and force believers to question their faith. In my hands, I hold a child's drawing, crayon marks on paper yellowed with time. 2 stick figures holding hands. One bears a red mark above her eye, the other a dark thumbprint on her hip. The child who drew this had never seen the scars it depicts. Those scars belong to someone else, someone who died before the artist drew her first breath. Maybe you felt it too, that strange recognition when you meet a stranger, the certainty you've walked down a street you've never seen before, the weight of memories that aren't your own. This is a story about memory bleeding through time, about death as transformation rather than ending, about 2 sisters who found their way back through the impossible geography of birth and rebirth. But it's also about the cost of miracles, the price of proof, and the question that haunts every parent. Who has ever lost a child? What if they could come back? Before the tragedy, the Pollock household was ordinary. John delivered milk each morning before dawn. Florence tended their 6 children with quiet devotion. Their 2 daughters, Joanna and Jacqueline, were inseparable. Jacqueline had fallen the year before, playing in the garden. Her forehead struck a metal bucket. The scar above her right eye never faded. She also bore a birthmark, dark as a thumbprint on her left hip. But there was something else about John Pollock, something his Catholic neighbors whispered about, behind lace curtains. He believed in things his church condemned, spent long nights reading about souls that return, about death as doorway rather than destination. His son Ian would later remember the nightmares that began that spring. Dreams of cars and screaming of something terrible approaching just down the street from their home. On May 5th, 1957, the doorbell rang at 10:30. Anthony Layton, 9 years old, had come to collect the girls for church. Florence watched from the window as 3 children walked hand in hand down the quiet Sunday street. She planned to follow in minutes. She never saw them alive again. The drawing in my hands trembles, as if the paper itself remembers. The moment when everything changed, when 2 little girls became proof that love is stronger than death. But stay close, because what happened next defies explanation, and the truth behind their return is darker than anyone imagined. The crayon marks seem to pulse in the lamplight, waiting to tell their story. Outside, the branches scrape the window. Steady, steady. The car was green, a Morris Minor with rust around the edges. Marjorie Wynne sat behind the wheel, 14 aspirin dissolving in her bloodstream. She had lost custody of her daughters that week. The courts decided a widow's grief was too dangerous for children. So she made a choice. If she couldn't have her girls, no one else should either. The car mounted the pavement at 30 miles per hour, 150 yards of concrete, between the children and the brick wall, between life and whatever comes after. Have you ever wondered what the last thing you see might be? For Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, it was each other's faces, still holding hands. The drawing shows this moment. Not the impact, not the blood. Just two figures connected by an invisible thread that death could not sever. John Pollock was finishing his milk round when the neighbor found him. But here's what the newspapers never reported. John already knew. At the exact moment of impact, he had collapsed against his milk cart, a vision striking him like lightning, two small figures stepping through. A doorway of light. They're not gone, he whispered. They're just changing. Florence made a sound when she heard. That wasn't quite human, the sound of a mother's heart. Breaking in real time, but John's reaction was different. Stranger. They'll come back, he told her. As twins. I've seen it. The trial made national headlines. 3 children dead. A woman who walked away with probation. But John Pollock told reporters something that made them question his sanity. She shouldn't be punished, he said. The children aren't really gone. Death is just a doorway. People thought grief had shattered his mind, but John had been studying reincarnation for years before the accident, reading forbidden texts, praying for proof his church would never accept. 8 months after the funeral, Florence discovered she was pregnant. The doctor heard only 1 heartbeat. Primitive scans showed 1 child, but John knew better. Do you believe in premonitions? That certainty that cuts through doubt, like a blade through silk. Twins, John told his wife. 2 girls. They're coming back to us. Florence thought it was desperate hope, the fantasy of a broken father. But on October 4th, 1958, she gave birth to identical twin daughters. The first thing the midwife noticed was the birthmark on the second baby's forehead, right above the right eye, exactly where Jacqueline's scar had been. The second thing was the dark mark on her hip, shaped like a thumbprint, in the precise location where Jacqueline had carried her birthmark. The drawing trembles in my hands. The crayon marks seem to darken, as if absorbing the weight of impossible truth. In the corner, a mirror reflects 2 faces that shouldn't exist. They named the twins Gillian and Jennifer. Gillian, born 10 minutes earlier, would carry the memories of Joanna. Jennifer, with her mysterious marks, would remember being Jacqueline, but memory, they would learn, is a strange and fragile thing. It bleeds through in whispers, in gestures that shouldn't exist, in knowledge that has no earthly source. When the twins were 6 months old, the family moved to Whitley Bay, 30 miles from Hexham. Far enough. Florence hoped. To escape through that doorway, back to ordinary life. She was wrong. The drawing shows the move. Two small figures in a car, but their faces are turned backward, looking towards something they're not ready to leave behind. The mirror reflects only darkness now. Some memories, it seems, travel with the soul, and some love is stronger than the mathematics of death. The dolls had names, Mary and Susan, Christmas gifts from 1954, 3 years before the twins were born. Florence had packed them away, in the attic with the other memories, too painful to see, too precious to discard. The drawing shows them there, waiting in the darkness. But when Gillian and Jennifer turned 4, they began asking for toys they had never seen, describing them in perfect detail. The doll with the yellow dress, the one that says Mama when you tip her, my Susan with the missing button. Florence climbed into the attic, her hands shaking as she opened, boxes sealed with grief. And there they were, exactly as described. She brought the dolls downstairs, set them on the kitchen table, called the girls to see. The silence that followed was deeper than quiet. It was the silence of recognition, of impossible knowledge made manifest. Jennifer pointed to the first doll. "That's Mary," she said simply. Gillian touched the second. "That's my Susan." The exact names Joanna and Jacqueline had given them. Names Florence had never spoken aloud since the day her daughters died. Have you ever felt the weight of impossible knowledge? That moment when reality shifts and everything you thought you knew crumbles like old paper? Dr. Ian Stevenson arrived from Virginia in the winter of 1963, a psychiatrist who had spent his career documenting the impossible. Dr. Ian Stevenson arrived from Virginia in the winter of 1963, a psychiatrist who had spent his career documenting the impossible. Gillian drew him a map of their old neighborhood. Jennifer described the sweet shop where Jacqueline bought penny candy, the owner's name, the bell that rang when you opened the door. Remember the drawing I showed you? The one that trembles in lamplight. It shows this moment too, 2 children pointing at memories that aren't theirs. But it was what Florence found them doing. One gray November afternoon that made Stevenson's blood run cold. Jennifer was lying on the playroom floor, arms and legs spread wide. Gillian knelt beside her, stroking her sister's hair. "The blood is coming out of your eyes," Gillian whispered. "That's where the car hit you." Florence stood frozen in the doorway, because she had never told the twins about Jacqueline's injuries, about the bandages over her eyes. When John identified the bodies, the drawing captures this scene: 2 small figures on carpet, one comforting the other. But in the margins, I can see the shadow of impact, the echo of a scream from before they were born. The crayon marks are burning now, glowing with an inner light, as if the act of remembering sets them ablaze. The twins were terrified of cars, would cling to each other. When engines started nearby, "The car is coming for us," they would cry. "It's coming to get us again." Jennifer held her pencil, in the same awkward grip Jacqueline had used. Gillian walked with feet turned outward, exactly like Joanna. They brushed their father's hair, the way their sisters had done. But memory, Stevenson learned, is not just knowledge. It's love made manifest, the refusal to let go, the insistence that some bonds transcend the mathematics of death. The drawing shows this too, the crayon marks now blazing, as if fed by recognition. The mirror in the corner reflects 4 faces now instead of 2, past and present bleeding together through that impossible doorway. The room grows warmer or colder. It's hard to tell. By age 5, the memories began to fade, like morning mist burning away, in the heat of ordinary life. But the drawing remains, a testament to something science cannot explain. Some love, it seems, refuses to stay buried. The photograph was wrong. For decades, every article, every documentary about the Pollock twins featured the same haunting image. 2 dark-haired girls in matching dresses, eyes that seemed to hold ancient secrets. But those girls were from New Jersey, strangers to this story, their image borrowed to illustrate a mystery they had nothing to do with. Maybe you've done the same thing, filled in the gaps of a story with details that felt right, even when they weren't true. The real drawing in my hands shows something different. 2 figures, yes, but blurred at the edges, as if the artist wasn't quite sure what they were trying to capture. In 2024, investigators uncovered something that changes everything we thought we knew. Stay close, because the truth is darker than the miracle. John's granddaughters spoke for the first time, their words sharp as winter wind. He was a liar, they said, a man who craved attention, who hurt the people he claimed to love. They described a different John Pollock, not the grieving father seeking proof of. They said it happened once before. In the village records of 1847, the Hexham Parish files, yellowed with age and damp, tell of another family, the Weatherbys, who lost twin daughters to scarlet fever, only to welcome them back in different flesh. Notice what the records don't say here. They never mention the father's name, never describe the mother's grief. Just the cold notation, returned as promised. Marks intact. But this pattern stretches back further. To ancient Egypt, where the Book of the Dead spoke of souls returning through birth. To Tibet, where monks search for reincarnated lamas by testing children's memories of previous lives. To India, where the Sharma boy was born with rope marks around his neck from a hanging that happened before his birth. Dr. Stevenson found similar cases, scattered across centuries. In Lebanon, a child named Imad remembered being a man named Ibrahim, could describe his previous house, his wife's cooking, the scar on his hand from a truck accident. The village elders nodded knowingly. Some souls, they said, refuse to rest. Have you ever wondered why children forget their dreams? Why the impossible becomes ordinary? As we grow older, this is the part I still think about. Not the evidence, not the testimonies, just how quiet it got when the memories began to fade. The drawing shows this too, in the corner, barely visible. A timeline written in a child's hand. Age 3, remember everything. Age 4, remember some things. Age 5, remember dreams. Age 6, remember nothing. The crayon marks are cooling now, from blazing fire to ember glow, as if the weight of history is slowly extinguishing them. File number 29 from Stevenson's archives contains a single photograph. 2 girls at a birthday party. Gillian and Jennifer, age 7, looking like any other children. No trace of ancient knowledge in their ordinary smiles. The investigator wrote only, "No unusual behavior observed." Subjects appear to have integrated into normal childhood development. Case study concluded. But the drawing tells a different story. Shows the moment when memory becomes just another word, when the impossible fades into the everyday, when 2 little girls stop being miracles and become simply themselves. It wasn't the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. The drawing shows up in 3 separate files, always the same description. Child's artwork, crayon on paper. Subject matter, 2 figures holding hands. Artist claims no knowledge of depicted events. Some stories, it seems, are larger than the people who live them. They echo through time, waiting for the right moment, the right family, the right tragedy, to open that doorway again. The mirror in the corner reflects not just faces now, but centuries of faces. All the children who remembered, lives they never lived. All the parents who believed in love stronger than death. Maybe that's what reincarnation really is. Not souls returning, but love refusing to let go. Not proof of afterlife, but evidence of how deeply we need to believe that nothing truly ends. The candle flickers once, then steady. Do you feel it too? That pull toward believing in something beyond the grave. The drawing grows fainter, as if the weight of history is slowly erasing it. But the story remains, written in birthmarks and dreams, in the space between what science can prove and what the heart knows to be true. Some love, it seems, transcends even time itself. The drawing is almost gone now, the crayon marks fading, like breath on winter glass, like memory itself. Jennifer Pollock is in her 60s, lives quietly in the countryside, still carries the birthmarks, though they're harder to see now, softened by time and the weight of ordinary years. She doesn't remember the dolls, doesn't remember naming them Mary and Susan, doesn't remember the playground in Hexham, or the sweet shop with the bell. But sometimes, she says, in the space between sleep and waking, she hears a voice, Gillian's voice, calling her name. "I'm still here," the voice whispers. "I'm still with you." And for a moment, Jennifer is 6 years old again, walking hand in hand with her sister toward a church they will never reach. The drawing crumbles as I touch it, becomes dust and memory, the last ember of Cresson, finally extinguished. But the story remains. Written in birthmarks and dreams, in the space between what we know and what we hope. Do you feel that too? That strange certainty that love doesn't end. When the heart stops beating, that some bonds are written in something deeper than flesh and bone. Here's what the files never recorded. What Jennifer discovered only recently, when she returned to Hexham for the first time in decades. The sweet shop is still there, the bell still rings when you open the door, and the owner's grandson remembers two little girls who used to buy penny candy. They had the strangest eyes, he said, like they'd seen too much for their age. One had a scar above her eye, the other had a mark on her hip, but that was impossible. Those girls died before these twins were born. The Pollock twins grew up, became ordinary women with ordinary lives. The memories faded, like all childhood things, but the love remained. John Pollock died believing his daughters had returned to him. Florence died wondering if he was right. The truth, perhaps, lies somewhere between faith and doubt, between memory and dream. The files are closing now, the evidence catalogued, the testimonies recorded, but the mystery remains, as deep as ever. Do souls return? Do the dead find their way back through the mathematics of birth? Or do we simply see what we need to see in the faces of those we love? When souls return, they carry the weight of love across the impossible distance between death and birth, between ending and beginning. The mirror in the corner shows only my reflection now, but for a moment I could swear I saw two small figures holding hands, still walking toward that church, still together, still loved. The doorway between worlds closes softly behind them, but it never truly locks. Love, it seems, always finds a way. The room grows quiet now, peaceful. There's nothing else to do tonight but drift into sleep and dream of children who found their way home through the impossible geography of love and loss. The drawing is gone, the mirror reflects only darkness. But somewhere in that darkness, two small hands still reach for each other, still connected by love that death could not sever. You're safe now. Sleep well. I'll be here when the lights go low again. If you'd like more stories like this, more mysteries that challenge everything you thought you knew, subscribe now and let's explore the impossible together. The next doorway is waiting to be opened.